went to the pastor who's in charge of the camp and asked him if she can have the keys because she has to go find her sister. And he would not give them to her. So now she has come to steal the keys from the pastor's office. And while doing so, the chapel bells began to ring. People started coming in, and she had to hide. So Mazzy is hiding up behind the choir loft in this chapel, and she has to get these keys so she can go save her sister. This is from my novel. It's called 40. Here, cheers. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The organ music played, and from her vantage, Mazzy could see the pulpit and half of the sanctuary. She shrank as far into the darkness as possible, trying to calm her breathing and figure her next move. The pews filled quickly. A few people dressed nice as for church, but most looking shabby and beaten. The pastor strode out to the pulpit. He wore a purple robe and sang along with the organ song. Many in the pews sang too. And when the song was done, the pews were packed, a few even standing in the back and along the side aisle. The pastor asked everyone to bow their heads. Mazzy lowered her chin but kept her eyes up to watch the others. The pastor prayed for wisdom and for understanding in the hearts of his congregation. He said, "Amen." And in the pause of silence, the pastor fingered the worn cover of the Bible he set on the pulpit's lectern. "What have we become?" he asked, his voice filling the room. "I've had this camp open for 53 years now. I've seen so much change. I've seen things change, then change back as they were, fashions cycling through. I've seen 5 different wars. I've seen the quakes ruin cities, seen new cities rise in their place. I've seen the storms get worse and worse," and he gripped the edges of the pulpit. "And I've read my Bible every day of those 53 years. Every day. I've done so to grant my life, my decisions for my life, my understanding of the world a context. I've seen that context shift over the years, some for good, some for convenience. This is to say that even the Bible has changed. I understand that's a dangerous thing to say, and yet I say it without trepidation. I mean no blaspheme. Someday soon we will all be on a space station or in some new city on Mars, and who knows what it'll all mean then. All the stories of the Old Testament, all the wisdom of Christ. What does the creation story mean to us once we're gone from earth? What will Bethlehem mean to a child born on Mars?" The pastor pushed up the sleeves of his robe and scanned the room. "There's a sermon I have given in my mind many times, but I have never preached aloud. It's one of those talks that seems to have come from the darkest of truths, and it greatly scares me. I was pacing my office again last night, asking God for wisdom as if God didn't deliver me into the insight in the first place." He stepped around the pulpit to the edge of the stage. "I do not believe in the devil," he said, loudly, clearly. "I believe it is only us, just us. Jesus was going to the cross, paraded through the streets, a crown of thorns on his head, hoisting his own cross to carry to Calvary. Judas gave him up, Peter denied him. But what did we do to save him? What did you do to save him? Oh, I wasn't there, you say. It wasn't me. But you were there. You've always been there. You're there right now. Let's be honest. Can we be honest? Just for once. he said, his voice rising, a finger tapping the top of the pulpit, and his hand fell limp aside. We've gotten exactly what we want, he said. This rain, this war, or whatever ugly thing is happening out there, it's exactly what we want. And the relief we feel is tremendous. The power of knowing the thing you want has finally come to fruition makes you feel like a god. Let's be honest. It's what you want. You want the world to collapse. You want people to be every terrible thing. And so it is ordained. And the pastor slid back around into the pulpit. I'm one of you, he said softly. I'm no different. I'm not trying to shame anyone. I'm done with shame, done with fear and doubt all my life. I've been afraid, been ashamed, doubting I'll be understood. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that I believe God gives us exactly what we want. And I'm not talking about what you say you want, though that's part of it. I mean that you get all of the things that reside in that sacred place of truth behind your eyes. Every last thought becomes the world. Every prayer, but not just yours, theirs too. Their prayers too. You get the hatred and bigotry and perversion and all the harm you need done to those not like you, and those who threaten you, and them to you. And you get every self-destructive desire too, because we hate ourselves and we hate each other. Stop it! A man's voice shouted from the pews. And the pastor stood straighter and gazed out in the direction of the voice. And people muttered and shifted in their seats. And Mazzy inched forward to see a man with a thick brown beard and a green hunter's cap glaring up at the pastor from the third pew. God gives you everything you want, son, the pastor said. Stop it. That's about all we ever say, isn't it? Stop making me feel bad. Stop making me work. Stop asking for peace. Stop making me love even that. Love costs too much. Takes too much effort. I'm tired of fighting for love. I can't keep hoping, because hope hurts too much. Stop it. That's exactly what we said to Christ. We will say we love him, but the truth is he asked too much of us. Be merciful, be meek, be the peacemaker. Resist not evil, turn the other cheek. What weakness! What cowardice! Isn't that what you feel? None of it gives us what we want, that strength, that power over our fears, over others, that utter destruction. Stop it. Fine. Fine, the pastor said, patting the air. God is listening to everything you say and don't say. God gives you what you want. He put Christ on that cross, and Christ yelled out to his Father, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" And God's answer was clear. I have not forsaken you, son, but simply given them what they want. Chatter riffled through the pews. The bearded man stood and sidestepped by the others to the mid-aisle and stormed out the back of the sanctuary, the door opening and banging closed. And the pastor leaned hard over the pulpit, rubbing his forehead. "Listen," he said, his voice faltering. "Listen, you want me to talk about the end days, right? Don't you? About the 4 horsemen and the final stand for us all, about the beast from the sea, 7 heads and 10 horns and 10 crowns. I know that's what you want, so you can feel it's something beyond you, that we're all just a victim of this great invasion." "No," he said, shaking a finger like scolding a child standing tall with newfound conviction. No, it's your heads and your horns and your crowns. If God only gives us what we want, then we must worship one. Want must be most sacred, above everything, above love and peace. Our God is want, and want is God, and what we want is the world we've made. This world that we've made. And Maisie heard a scuffling out in the sanctuary, and people were standing and filing out of the pews. What do you want? The pastor called after those leaving. What do you? And the organ started playing, arousing him, drowning out the pastor's words. The pastor turned as if astonished toward the woman in yellow playing the organ, his back slouched forward as if he might be sick. His lips quavered, though no sound came out. Even the few that had remained in the pews now rose to leave, and the pastor turned to face the cross above the choir loft, and Maisie slid low against the wall. The pastor seemed to look directly at her. He took 3 steps towards her, squinting. Maisie held her breath, her blood brittle, her heart made of birds. And the music abruptly stopped, and the pastor whirled again towards the organ. Why? The woman bitterly shouted. Maisie heard the footsteps, then watched the woman in the yellow dress hurry out the chapel doors. In the chapel now empty, the pastor collected his Bible from the pulpit and slunk away. Maisie heard the side door open and knew the pastor was heading back to his office. She descended the steps and pushed through the door. She crossed down off the stage and past the organ pen. The hallway to his office was covered with photos of the camp from past years. A faded photo of smiling kids standing in potato sacks, kids roasting marshmallows over a campfire, a girl knee-deep in a pond. At the end of a hall, Maisie turned the knob and stepped inside the office. The pastor did not move from his desk chair, didn't offer a word or a nod of greeting. Maisie sat across the desk from him. She felt inside her that frigid, weeping guilt of someone confessing a crime. It's just like you said about want and all that. I think I must have wanted my mama gone, and then she was. Maybe I made it happen. I think I made this flood too. I think I must have wanted it all. And the pastor swallowed. Your mother's gone? Maisie nodded. But once she was gone, I could only remember the things I loved about her and wanted her back all the more.